And so, because there are two raw materials that are needed to produce weapons, they decided to come into a union to control coal and steel, the production of coal and steel, so that no country will be able to produce enough coal and steel to sort of be able to produce armaments and be able to wage war on a fellow EU citizen. That is how the EU started, the control of coal and steel and the vision to prevent any future war amongst themselves. So it is still evolving if you watch. As it stands, even though they still have their, in the area of immigration, they have different policies. There are areas where they have a union, a United Customs, there is a union in customs. So if you produce goods in Britain, you can sell them in France. You don't have to pay any tariffs. So they are gradually taking away all those things that divide them. As we speak, the EU spends one currency, which is the euro. Every European citizen has dual citizenship, your national citizenship and then the EU citizenship. So the EU is a very latest sort of system. It is different from that of the African Federation that we are advocating for. It's an economic union, and we believe that with time, given the pace at which they're working, it will get to a stage where there will only be one embassy for all EU nationals. The reason I am confident about this is we already have the Schengen visa in place. If you take a visa for any EU country, you can travel around the whole of the EU without having to obtain a visa, except the United Kingdom, of course. So they haven't reached there yet. It doesn't mean someday they too will not be talking about a unified military and a unified foreign policy. But the fact that they haven't gotten there yet doesn't mean they won't get there. We want to model ours on the American, well, I wouldn't say the American, but as to how we want it. The fact that America has got a federation, Russia has a federation, and the EU has something else doesn't mean that we have to adapt anybody's structure. We have to get what is workable for us as a continent. In addition to your what I've just said, the fiercest war America ever fought is to keep the American unity together, the American states together. They lost more people in that war than they did in the First and Second World War. So that tells you that a federal Africa is probably the best thing that could happen to us.
Thank you very much
Yes.
for that lecture, and I think it is something that almost all Africans need to hear. I went to school in Ghana completely before I came here, and I didn't have the advantage of hearing some of the things that you told us today, and I must say I'm very happy and thank you so much for that, and I think a lot of people have so learned a lot from that. But one thing I would want to ask is, indeed, I do also subscribe to the fact that a revolution, a youth revolution is what will actually get us started.
Yeah.
Because it just looks like nothing is working. And if you look at the leaders we have, even in Ghana, about 50% of our ministers have studied outside, lived outside.
Yes.
But the kind of decisions they take, you wonder whether they actually travel beyond Accra.
Yes.
And that is not the way to go.
Yes.
So we in the diaspora, what's the guarantee that if we get home, we won't exploit the ignorance of our people and engage in all this corruption and all sort of things? So my question is, if we will get, because when people come outside and they experience and they know the difference,
yes,
they have a different thinking and approach towards issues. How
yes,
do we get our African youth, people who have never even been in class, to really understand that they deserve better than what they are getting? How is the organization you are talking about, how are you going to enlighten these people,
yes,
to come to that sense and then to actively partake? And how are you employing technology in that regard? Because the world is moving far ahead, and it's something that we really need. We need technology to go faster, because I don't know, whenever I hear people say that one day. I'm just wondering, when is that one day? Africa, we are sick. Ghana is just, we are just sick. That's the reality. So how are you planning to
speed up,
roll that out
Yeah.
in a short time that will bring the necessary result that we need to?
Thank you very much. It's a very good question, and many people feel the same. In fact, in the conference in Ghana, I was so impressed about the youth who attended. A lot of children came from the other French-speaking countries. Samuel and Kuma had worked so hard to get all of them to come. And when the youth sat down to talk, we were shocked, because I think they are far more enthusiastic than we, the organizers. The youth today are far more interested in a united Africa than us. Now, in terms of strategy, it is a bottom-up strategy, and I'll be very blatant with you. Look, the reason it is not happening is not because people don't want it to happen. We did our research, and there is not a single African who says they don't want to see an African unification. Not a single one. I'm yet to hear one person say, I don't agree with that phenomenon. But they all repeat the same thing. They all repeat the same thing. They say, we want it to happen, but will it happen? That is the same question. We'll be happy to see it happen, but we think it is impossible. The reason it is not happening is because, one, the AU itself has an agenda, Agenda 2063. The AU is saying that in 2063 we'll have an African integration. They want to integrate Africa around in 2060, by 2063. How is it? When the current stock of leaders, all of them would have been dead by then. And to tell you my personal experience with the AU, briefly, I was in Geneva, and I went to the United Nations head office there. When I wanted to visit them, I went online to see if I needed to book an appointment or something, but they said just turn up. So I came, I walked to the UN offices there, and I went through security, and by the time I got to the gate, somebody was waiting for me, a student volunteer. He took me around the whole building, explained the history, the debates, the conventions that were signed in the building, and so on and so forth. Very enjoyable. When I finished my tour at the UN, I crossed over to the opposite side, is the headquarters of the Red Cross. I went in there, it was the same thing. They were so happy to have me. And they took me around and showed me everything. Then I decided to go to the AU headquarters in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. Because I was going to Africa, I decided to take precaution. I went to the website, I found visiting the AU. There's a phone number there. First day, I called the number 5 times, nobody responded. So I checked my watch and I said, well, maybe it's because I'm calling outside of their working hours. So a few days later, I called again. And I called 10 times before somebody came to the phone. When the woman finally came to the phone, I said to her, I want to visit the AU. What should I do? And she said, hold the line, I'll put you through to somebody. She called another lady. And I spoke to them, and they said, oh, that's fine. The lady didn't speak very good English. She said, okay, put your request into writing. So I was sitting behind my computer anyway, so I drafted the letter, and she gave me her email address. I emailed it to her. No response. After 2 weeks, I called again. I said, look, I sent you the email. I'm just following up to see if you've actually received it. She said, oh, yeah, she has received the email. Is everything okay? She said, yes, everything is fine. I bought my ticket, booked my hotel in Addis Ababa. I was en route to South Africa, so I thought I was spending 3 days in Addis Ababa to see a friend, and so it's all well and fine. I left London, arrived in Addis Ababa on the weekend, did what I was doing on Saturday and Sunday. Monday, I went to the AU. I went first to the new one, the one that China built for us, and back. And then the security there told me that no, it's the wrong place, so I should go to the other side. So I walked to the other side. And there was a security man in the window. And I said, look, I've got a visiting appointment because I had sent them an email. The last time, a week before I left, I followed up with another email. And then the lady responded to the email saying something like I should contact some department, but there was no phone number and no email address. So I got there, and lo and behold, the man told me, no, we can't let you in. I said, why? He says, because you need to have a pass. I said, but nobody gave me a pass, I've just arrived. He says, can I see the email you sent to them? So I've opened my phone and showed him the email. He said, oh yeah, it's true, I know this person. Let me call the person. Then she called the woman who responded to my email. And she picked up the phone and said, oh, I said, oh, it's Solomon, I'm at the door, I'm at the gates. Can you assist me to come in? And she says, no, you can't come in. When I asked you to contact that department, you didn't contact that department. And I said, well, I'm sorry, but can you come out and have a word with me? Maybe we can reach some sort of arrangement. She says, no, I've got a meeting. I'm not. Then she hung up the phone. I went bananas. I went, and the West, it's not good to have me in that mood. I don't know what happened. I was so angry when I got back to my hotel. I flipped open my laptop and I gave them a peace of mind. As we speak, they still not responded to my complaint. The AU is manned by less than 1,000 people. It is funded by donors and the United Nations. The building, that facade building you see, was built by China at the cost of 200 million. And this is what I keep telling you. And you say you want to command respect outside of Africa. 55 governments couldn't put up their own, even their own meeting place, their own headquarters. They couldn't build it. China had to build it for them. $200 million. And they're happy. It's just a club. It's a club of the leaders. So, to your answer, the AU is completely detached with the grassroots. And this is where we come in. We are saying that, well done AU. You've done so much. You're doing good. You have an agenda 2063. The only problem is we can't wait for 2063. So we want to help you to achieve it in less than a generation. So we are going to incite and educate and speak to the grassroots. It's a unification of the African masses, not the government. We want the African people to come together. So we are working on it. Everybody will have access to our website and our information and our agenda and our plans, sooner rather than later. It's very important to about you will accept that for a project such as this one, it takes time. The reason it takes time is because the leaders, as you see them today, it's not the case that some of them don't want unification. They just can't do it. If tomorrow, the IMF, the World Bank, or the United States should tell them, look, African governments, if you don't unite, there will be no more aid for you. You will see all of them gathering in Ethiopia and shaking and laughing hands like a bunch of yo-yos. Yeah? That's what happened. So we say, no problem. You are hurting us, but we will find a way out. So yes, we appreciate the level of illiteracy, the lack of communication, the lack of technology. But whatever is at our disposal, and remember, when Kwame Nkrumah came to Ghana to start talking about Ghana's independence, how many people were educated in Ghana? Very few. But he succeeded, right? We shall succeed. Next question.
Okay, can we see all those who have questions? We have one here. Can we see any other hands raised? Okay, so we have one here question. So we'll take.
All right. So that was a very impressive presentation. Thank you very much. Yeah, and that was been I'm for and I'm fully gingered, as I believe many of us are gingered here in this room, even in this room. But during your presentation, in the course of the presentation, you mentioned that in the course of the growth of Africa, okay, be it progressive or stunted, there are many people, okay, a couple of people who have risen for this cause. You understand?
Yes.
For example, like your honorable self,
yes,
understand, who are for this cause.
Yes.
But for some reason, the waters have been muddy,
yes,
and have been shut down by unseen forces.
Yes.
You understand? Now my question is, what has changed? You understand? What has changed now? As in, is it that we have been able to eliminate our threat? or we have a better strategy now? Because I'm not, you understand, we are in support. I'm sure many, as you mentioned, a lot of people
Yes.
want it, you understand?
Yes.
Have we eliminated that threat, or we have a
Yes.
better strategy today? Thank you.
The short question is that we have a better strategy. Thank you very much. It's a very good question.
We know, we're not stupid. We know how they took out Kwame Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba, Gaddafi. We know that. We know they don't want it to happen. Because if it happens, it will change the geopolitics of the world. They don't want that. Most of these countries you see depend heavily on African resources. The mobile phone you use today, you know that the SIM card, whatever they use to produce is in Congo, isn't it? So it is not in their interest to see a united Africa, and anybody who wants to pursue that agenda, they will come up with some opposition. The sad thing is, they will always use your own people against you. That's what they do. Their embassies are far more powerful than any embassies. The US ambassador, I'm telling you today, if Akufo-Addo should get up tomorrow and make any unfavorable decision about America, the US ambassador in Ghana, not the president, the US ambassador will call him to order. That is how powerful they are. So what we are saying is, it's a bottom-up approach. We want the question to be given to the citizens. It's the citizens that we are interested in, not the leaders. Because the leaders have already let us down. They've disappointed us. They are a huge disgrace. This is not, if African countries, the countries that we have today, if this is what Kwame Nkrumah and Co aspired for when they took up the fight for liberation, then what is the point? What was the need for all that hassle? What the killings, the deaths, the imprisonment? What is the point of this? If Ghana, the way Ghana is all that Kwame Nkrumah envisioned, then it wasn't necessary. We were better off having the Europeans there. So that is the situation. We are very cautious. And that is why at this stage, I can't actually give away a lot. You will understand. But the fact that I'm talking to you here and asking you to join that cause is an indication that we have your security at hand. But one thing I will tell all of you, we all only live once. Whether you like it or not, the only thing that is factual is that we will all die one day. If you allow the fear of death to stand between you and your desires, you will never achieve anything. And you are better off not even living at all. So whatever you want to do, stop thinking about the consequences. That, oh, somebody could take me out. Yes, Malcolm X was shot, Martin Luther King was shot. You can kill the people, but you can't kill the ideas. So we will do it. Someday, let them take me out. Another child will rise up. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this presentation. Mine is kind of a recommendation.
Yes.
I think that one thing I have seen since I came to Russia, I've spoken to a lot of students in schools and stuff like this, and I've realized that this white supremacy thing
Yes.
is something that they are taught in school.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So that generation keeps on growing.
Yes.
So they grow up and they still have this mentality.
Yes.
Every time you walk in the street and they call you nigger.
Yes.
Because that's what they have been taught in
Yes.
school. So can we also have something in our school integrated into the curriculum?
Yes.
Can we make it part of our educational system where children are taught
Yes.
our roots, the slavery,
Yes.
the information you are giving to us? Can
Yes.
we integrate that into our educational system
Yeah.
so that our children will grow up
Yes.
and also feel that black supremacy
Yes.
and feel independent?
Yes.
I think it will go, a long way in helping and shaping this Pan-Africanism.
Yes. You are very right.
Because right now, you see, even among us as Ghanaians, there are certain things, some behaviors that we need to change,
Yes.
which is very, very appalling.
Yes.
For example, I applied for Let me just give this brief example. My younger brother applied for birth certificate, and then they said 2 weeks, 3 months,
Yes.
just for birth certificate.
Yes.
And how are we going to build this Africa we want to see
Yes.
with this behavior?
Yes.
So I believe when this educational thing is integrated, the minds will be changed, the
Yes.
mentality will be changed,
Yes.
and it will help Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
So before you take that, Miss Peggy has a related question
Okay.
about that.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, so in relation to what he said, I know back in Ghana, we study Chi or Ga, you have a choice. And I know back in the north, you study like languages related to where you are. But then it's funny, you're studying it, but then you hear teachers tell you, don't speak that, during class hours. So it's just like what he's saying. We are learning it, but we are not practicing it. That's how come you find people. I did Ekwapimchi back in when I was in JHS, but then I don't speak Ekwapimchi.
Yes.
So it's just related to what he's saying. We are learning it, but we are not practicing it.
Yes.
So that's basically what he's trying to say. So I feel we shouldn't just learn Chiga, Dagari, all the other languages. We should practice it.
Yes.
Because that's how come you find people live in Ghana, they go to other countries in maybe the US, Russia, and they can't speak their local dialect.
Yes.
That's because you only learned how to speak, or you learned it's based on passing your BEC exams, and then it ends there. Even the French languages,
Yes.
I was one of the best French students back in Ghana, but the only thing I can say is bonjour, bonsoir, je m'appelle Peggy, and it ends there. So yeah, I believe it should be more practical than just theoretical. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. These are all very important contributions. We have so much work to do. When I was growing up in Ghana, almost every school in the country, you would see the national flag. Government offices had the flag flying, the streets were clean, and things were happening. We grew up to meet a lot of industries that don't exist anymore. The level of patriotism in the country has now reduced drastically. It only happens during football, when we all support our black stars. So, yes, I think that it is important that the government of the country begins to initiate something, not calling our languages vernacular, because they are not vernacular. We need to project what we have and teach our children to be able to read and write in our local languages. It is important. We haven't decided on. Some people are saying we should adapt Swahili, which is an African language, as an African to cover the whole of Africa. But these are all things that are in the pipeline. You all have a role to play in all of this. You have these ideas, you need to bring them out and talk to those that are in power. Before your question, I just want to tell you something, my experience with Eastern Europeans. In London, if you need any work done in terms of construction, they will come. We go for them, Polish and people from Bulgaria and all those other countries. They are very good in the construction industry. And there was a building, a dilapidated building, that the council wanted to demolish. So they took out all the electrical wiring and the pipes and everything and boarded the windows. So you would think nobody lives there. Eastern Europeans were there, and there was electricity there. So I one day asked one of them who came to change my tiles in the office. I said, look, how come you guys are so good at this? And he said, well, it's our educational system. By the time you leave JSS, you should have mastered at least 4 skills, like carpentry, mason, welding. When these guys travel anywhere in the world, they take those skills with them, so they never starve. In the UK, when our brothers and sisters turn up, they settle for what? Cleaning. Because they have no skills. You only have certificates. You go through JSS. If you don't don't get to a university, you come out and you don't have any skill. So there is the need for reform. And nobody can effect that reform. It is you. And before I sum up, congratulations for your victory last night. You deserved to be crowned Miss Ghana Russia. You were very impressive. The decision was right. And we are very proud of you. What I want to tell you is there is no stage in life when you begin to become important. You are as important as you want to be even now. You can make a difference even now. What I want to tell you to do is to establish a proper relationship with your embassy here in Russia. You hold a title now. It gives you a license to speak to the ambassador. These are things that we are talking about. These are things you should sit with the ambassador and let the ambassador know how you feel about our country and whether there is any way we can do it. Yeah? It is very important that you take up this challenge. And not just in Russia. You should be thinking about back home as well. When you finish your studies and you go back, continue to make a difference. The fact that you could win a Miss Ghana Russia is a clear indication that you can win the Miss World as well. So I'll let you to go.
All right, thank you. I think that since I'm not from Ghana, my suggestion is actually something that I was working with while still in my country before I came here.
And which country is that?
I'm from Botswana.
Okay.
So I was a children's rights advocate working together with UNICEF since I was about 11 years old.
Good.
So, and then I headed this organization called the National Children's Consultative Forum, which means I was the president of all the children of Botswana. So any decision that had to do with them, I had to step in the midst of. It was kind of an initiative to involve children in decisions that have to do with them.
Yes.
And one of the things I was always fighting for was education, but we look at education, actually I like what you said because it's very connected to what I was trying to say. When we look at education, we are always fighting for education,
Yes.
but we don't look at that the quality of the education matters very much.
Yes.
Because I had two different setups. I had the opportunity to study in a public school in a very rural area, and then later I got adopted and I got to go to a private school which was using the UK education system. And I was pretty much perplexed by a lot of things because when you went to public schools, the same people in my grade, let's say you're in high school and we're learning a subject like computer studies. When you go to class this is a monitor, this is a this is a this. And then when I was using the UK education system for the same age range, it was like, okay, now we are getting into trying to teach you guys programming.
Yes.
And people developed passion for these things,
Yeah.
because nobody will develop passion for just looking at a computer, you know. So that relates with what you were saying about the skills that we would get. And then I went to the education minister because I had those platforms at the time, and I said, I don't understand, and I want to ask one question. As the education minister, when was the last time we reviewed the Botswana syllabus of the public systems, the quality of the education? And he started to think for 5 minutes. And I said, I don't even want your answer because I know the same thing that my mom learned is what you are teaching me today. and it was pretty perplexing because I think that's why we even have so many failing rates, because all they complain about is so many kids are failing. And I don't think it's a matter of a child's ability to sit behind a desk and read a book.
Yes.
It has to do with real life timing. Right now, we're always on Facebook, we're on Instagram. You are coming here for looks to display this very thing that you are seeing. He has to learn a certain skill. But when you have to go to class and then write a question paper about the same thing that you are able to see on your Facebook, are you likely to pass than somebody who's expected to write about something that was 1971 and they are in 2019?
No.
So I think that one of the initiatives to all African countries should be that let's not say let's build 1,000 schools or whatever when we haven't looked at in those schools what are we feeding
What are we
these
teaching
children's
them?
minds.
Yes.
So that is my suggestion.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much for your questions. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Solomon Tampe. Can we stand up and give him a round of applause while he takes his seat? Thank you very much, Mr. Solomon Tampe. It was glad listening to you. And while standing, we would want to acknowledge the presence of the Deputy Registrar. The Deputy